Hey guys, Coach Travis Mash back with the Barbell Life Podcast. And today we're talking about, the infamous question. Like, should one squat or do strength work to get faster? Or is there a time where that's probably not required or not a big factor? So that is what we're going to look at today. And as always, the answer is going to be, it depends. And I wish that it was as easy as a yes or a no, but it's not. So you need to find out. I will say this, from high school athletes, I've rarely witnessed an athlete who did not get faster when they got stronger, because they're whatever available peak force production that they have, they're using when they do something explosive. But maybe after that, in college, sophomore, junior years, you'll get those athletes who are super strong, and maybe they do, maybe they don't need to squat. So the thing that you need to know is this, is that there are tests out there that will tell you. My favorite is the dynamic strength index, and that is simply where you measure, one's peak force in a strength movement. I guess the gold standard would be to do the isometric mid-thigh pull. You'll need force plates for that one, though. So if you don't have force plates, you can use a GymAware or other products to do like a back squat. And what I do with the GymAware is I will have them work up to, say, a 0.4, and then I can estimate their 1 RM, and I can also estimate their max force. And so, but I'll put a link in the show notes to the dynamic strength index. But because the other part of that is that you would also measure their peak force production in something explosive or dynamic, like a counter movement jump or a squat jump, where it's concentric only. So the thing I would recommend is that whatever you're measuring, you want to measure similar movement patterns. Meaning, like if you're going to do a counter movement jump, then I recommend a back squat. The thing about the isometric mid-thigh pull is, that is from basically going from not flexed or from static to a dynamic, even though you're not moving. But it's not really using any type of passive force production that you'll get from tendons or from the stretch shortening cycle that you would get if you did something like a counter movement jump or even a sprint. So I recommend matching those up. You can also do, if you're going to use a GymAware, you use a trap bar deadlift. Also, once again, you don't have to work up to a complete 1 RM. You could do an estimated 1 RM where you can estimate the force production. But what you'll do is you'll take the force production, peak force from your explosive movement, like the counter movement jump, divided by the peak force from the strength movement, and you'll get an index. And it'll be from somewhere between 0 and 1.0. But normally, if you're somewhere between 0.6 and 0.8 on that index, that means you're going to be right in the middle. And so you need to do both strength and explosive work, plyometrics. If you're above that 0.8, then you need to start doing strength only. Or not strength only, but focus on strength. And later what we're going to do towards the end of this is I'm going to show you a way what a workout would look like for the 3 types of people. Like, I classify people either as a gorilla, which is someone who is strong, but maybe they're not as fast as others, or a jaguar. I used to say kangaroo, but I like jaguar better. So that's the perfectly powerful animal or perfectly powerful athlete. And then that would be the 0.6 to 0.8. And then the 0.8 and above on the dynamic strength index, that would be what I call a cheetah, which are super fast, but they're not very strong. So, and then if you're below that 0.6 or you're 0.5 and all the way to 0, that means you have a lot of excess strength. And so that's the gorilla. But you can also look at a reactive strength index, which is going to show those reactive qualities. By reactive qualities, I say this a lot, I'm talking about tendons, I'm talking about the titin protein molecule. It's that protein molecule that anchors the myosin, and what it does, it resists stretch, and you'll get a lot of passive force from it, especially when you get those long end ranges of motion. You can also, and once again, GymAware has a really good article on the reactive strength index that was written by Loke, one of the other writers. So I will link to that. We use timing gates from Swift, and what we do is you measure a 40-yard dash, but because you have extra, we have 3 gates. You can look at the by doing a couple of 40-yard dashes, you can also immediately get there. You can get the 10-yard split. You can also get the flying 30. So what you'll do is you'll measure between the 10 and the 40 as well, and so you'll get the 10-yard split, the flying 30, and the 40-yard dash. So you can look and see if, is it speed endurance that, if the final 30 yards is not as fast as some of your other athletes, or is your 10 yards, that means acceleration phase. So you can look at the different types of speed and where they're coming up short. We also use the shred mill to measure acceleration phases, the transition phase, and top max velocities, and compare that to the other athletes as well. But once you have your information, you can split your athletes into jaguars, like I said, where that's the perfectly powerful, and you'll spend time in all the qualities of strength, which is going to be starting strength, speed, accelerated strength, and absolute strength. You'll do a lot of concurrent training of strength and speed. Then you'll have your gorillas who really need to focus on strength, speed strength, and starting strength, and reactive properties. They need to work on getting faster. They don't need to work on getting a lot stronger because they are strong. And so they need to also focus on maximizing power around 60%. That's the sweet spot. That's going to be that like 0.8 meters per second, because that, if you can maximize your or your power production right around there, that is power that is actually accessible on the field of play as well. So finally, then too, for the cheetah, get them strong, you guys. Like there's no problem when they're young. Get them strong, get them a solid base. I recommend. When they can do a squat at 2 times body weight, now they're strong. And so I'm not saying that you should stop there. If everything is trending together, awesome. But by doing those tests that we talked about earlier, you'll see that there, is their explosive strength, is explosive force production trending with their total peak force from their strength. So if it's trending together, then keep getting strong, So, and then also with the cheetah, include some strength, speed, and speed strength, but not not at the expense of strength. So really focus on getting stronger. But with none of these means that you should totally neglect the other. It just means the focus becomes X. For a cheetah, the focus becomes strength. For the gorilla, the focus becomes speed. And for the jaguar, it's the concurrent training. You also, with the cheetah, probably focus on getting some hypertrophy as well, because it's when athletes add muscle, they're going to get stronger as well. Normally, that's the way it rolls together. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at some programs and how it varies between the 3 types of athletes. Now, if you're just listening to this podcast, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this program that I'm going to be discussing, and I'm going to put it in the show notes as well. I'm going to put a link to it. But what you'll also need to do is probably watch it on YouTube. But if you don't want to watch it, you can download it. You at least need to be looking at what I'm talking about. It's going to be super confusing. So all right. So now you got your jaguar. This is the perfectly powerful athlete. And what I do is I normally write my programs for this person and then make small changes for the gorilla and for the cheetah, as you can see. So, but let's take day 1. Power cleans from the floor or trap bar jumps. I'll always include both because, if you're a coach that doesn't know how to teach the power clean, then don't, then just do the trap bar jumps or do a clean pull from the floor, whichever one you choose. But for this one, we're going to do a body weight. You're going to take your body weight, do it from max velocity for 3 reps times 2 sets. And then, and the reason I'm doing is I want to make sure that I'm recording a trend because I'm not showing you the next week's. I'm just, I just want to show you week 1 so you can get an idea. But what I'll do is I will keep that the same, and I will make sure that I am noticing a trend, unless I'm purposely wanting to cause fatigue. Like I want to push them. If I'm trying to create supercompensation, there are going to be times in the program where I'm expecting this to go down, then I'm going to deload, and then I'm going to expect a big rebound. Either way, I can monitor those trends. So, but then we're going to do 3 sets to reach a 3 RM at 8 RPE. So like you can however you want to do to match that to a trap bar jump is fine. You can put a velocity, you can put an RPE, but we're supersetting that. When you see 1A, 1B, that's a superset, of course. That's going to be supersetted with seated box jumps. The goal is max height. What we do, so with the seated box jumps, we're looking for max height. We're not necessarily looking for, just a really high box. I would rather use a 24 or 30-inch box and have them land with as little bend in their knees as possible. I want maximum jumps, because if they're just let's say you get a 36-inch box and all they're really doing is bringing their feet up to the box, they're showing great mobility more than they're showing a lot of force production. So or power. So make sure that you're not focused on the height of the box as much as the height of the jump, of course. So, and then we're also you're taking a back squat. We're going to work up to a 5 RM at 8 RPE. At 80%-ish, that's going to be 0.5 meters per second. We use gym wear velocity, of course, and then negative 10% for 2.5. And there we're doing max velocity, but that's, it's probably going to be at 70%, so somewhere faster than 0.7 meters per second is what I'm looking at. And that's supersetted with dumbbell jumps. Once again, we can use the Swift jump mat. We use Swift Performance for our timing gates and our jump mat. But we can use that to see that we're getting maximum height. And it's really important to measure that height. Or you could use, if you just have a gym wear, you don't have that. It's just more complicated. But the jump mat is super simple. You get that immediate feedback. But you can use the gym wear RS unit as well, attached to the little belt that comes with it. But either way, you need to make sure that you're measuring that height so you can notice trends. We are, for everything we're doing, we're looking for trends. But then we're working to a clean pull, 3 RM, and I even got a 1.1 meters per second. That's the goal. At 8 RPE, if you don't have gym wear or something to measure with. And then once we get there, we're going to hold that for 3 sets, superset with calf raises. And then we got Nordic leg curls and 3-way lunge. That's not going to change. The 3-way lunge, it's like a front, a side, and a rear lunge, that's just hip health. So we're not looking to change that much. But on day one, let's look quickly. And then for the gorilla, nothing really changes for the clean because expression and power is important. So I don't want to get away from that ever, of course. But what we're doing here is we are shifting. We're going to keep the seated box jump the height. Remember, focusing on height is the most important thing. But now with the squat, what we're doing is we're shifting down. We're going to, and why I say 65 to 75% is 65% will be week 1. So in week 1, we're looking at 65% or 0.75 meters per second for 3 to 4 sets of 5. It's supersetted now with prisoner squat jumps, not the dumbbell. We're going to go the lighter jump instead of the dumbbell jump for the Jaguar, because speed is what we're after, an explosion. So we want it as fast as possible. So, and the good thing about the squats are not going to they're not going to cause a great amount of fatigue. All it's going to really do is probably give you that potentiation. So you're going to jump higher and faster. Once again, using a jump mat, a Swift Performance, to see how high and make sure that you're maximizing that height. Clean pulls, we're going to drop the RPE down to 7, and we're going to look at 1.25 meters per second. See how things are very similar. It doesn't mean you got to change completely. It's just that we're not going to worry about going so heavy, we're going to worry about going faster. And so still doing the calf raises and the Nordic leg curls and the 3-way lunge. So Nordic leg curls are just a good movement to strengthen the hamstring as it crosses the knee. And that's a very important part to speed too. So when the foot strikes the ground, having the hamstring to be super stable as it crosses the knee is important. So now here's the cheetah. Notice now we're focusing on the clean. We're not supersetting it with anything. We're really wanting to get maximum maximum force expression. That's going to be right around that stress speed model. So here we're going to work up to it after we do the body weight for max velocity times 3 reps for 2 sets. Now we're going to work up to a 3RM at 8.5. We're going to go a little heavier. So we're really looking to maximize stress speed. And then on the back squats, we're going to go heavier as well. Week 1, we worked up to a 5RM at 8 RPE. For the cheetah who needs to get stronger, we're going to go 5RM at 9 RPE. So somewhere around 82.5%, 0.47 meters per second. And then we're going to do negative 10% for 1x5. Yes, max velocity. But then on that final set, we're going to subtract 5% more. And now we're going to go to maximum reps, leaving 1 rep in reserve. So we're going to get a little hypertrophy on that final one. And we're supersetting the dumbbell jumps, the heavier. We're going to go with the heavier type of jump, of course, still measuring the height, of course. And what we're going to do is we're going to start the superset on that final warm-up, and then we're not going to do the dumbbell jumps after we do the set with negative 5% for the maximum reps because it'd be too fatigued, so it's pointless. So now clean pulls, we're going to go to 8.5 RPE, a little bit heavier than all the others, and we're going to go to 1.0 meters per second. So that's about where most people, that's how fast most people pull a clean when they're doing a maximum clean. When you get really good at it, it's about 1.0 meters per second. Now, if you're not very good at the clean, you're going to pull it faster to get a little bit more height. But for the efficient weightlifters, it's about 1.0. So supersetting that with the calf raises, Nordic curls, leg curls. So now you see this is the difference. You're doing less total exercises when you're doing the cheetah because I really want to focus on getting stronger. Not so much, supersetting in speed work because you're already fast. Get strong and don't cause fatigues from doing so many exercises. Now, also what we want to point out too is this is just showing you the strength work. You still, like if you're a gorilla, you still need to do your sprinting on the field, your bounding, and really for the jaguar, same, still need to do your speed work. And even for the cheetah, it just means I would probably limit the volume of speed work you're doing on the field or bounding because you're already good at that. So you don't want to cause fatigue that will hinder your ability to get stronger in a certain period. Now, of course, if you're a sprinter and it's in season, still, no matter what your DSI scores and RSI scores are, you need to focus on getting stronger. So I'm talking about in the off season when you're really trying to make improvements as an athlete. Now, upper body, same thing. I'm not going to go over exactly, but you see, same little changes. Your bench press, superset with explosive push-ups. With the gorilla, they're going to go less, not going to go as heavy. They're going to stay between 65 and 75%. 65% week 1, 70% week 2, 75% week 3 deload. Or you could go 65, 70 deload, final week 75%. Week 1 will be somewhere around 0.6 meters per second on the bench press, 3 or 4 sets of 5, supersetted with explosive push-ups. If you can measure that, awesome. I don't know for a fact, at least we haven't used the Swift Performance mat to measure push-up height, but I don't know if it does it or not. I'm going to be honest. So if it does, I'm going to find out today. If it does, that would be awesome. But, and then for the cheetah, bench press, and they're only going to bench press. And once again, they're going to work up to a 5M at 9 RPE, around 82.5%, 0.3 meters per second. The bench, obviously the bench press is a little bit slower than the squat simply because of the range of motion. If you know impulse and its relationship to momentum, the longer you have to create force, the more velocity you create, but you have less room, less velocity. So then it's negative 10% for 1x5 max velocity, and then negative 5% again for maximum reps at 1 RIR. We're not going to superset with anything. We're trying to get jacked and strong. And then on the second exercise will be, even for the jaguar, is a push press. So by nature, that push press is going to be fast and explosive. And you're going to work up to a 5 RM at 8 RPE for the jaguar, supersetted with explosive hip hinge in the kettlebell upright rows. One of my favorite exercises. So basically think about doing high pulls with a barbell, but you're using kettlebells. So you're going to hinge at the hip and explode and perform a high pull upright row into almost a row, actually. So it's like an upright row, but I actually pull up and back. So I really am focusing on that mid to upper trapezius. You'll get some lats in that as well if you pull up and back. But I love that movement, and I will try to get a video of us performing that so you can see what it looks like. So, and then with the this is the gorilla. You're just going to go. You're still going to go 5 RM at ARP on the push press because, like I said, it's fast in nature, and you're still doing negative 10% for 2x5 max velocity on that. We're not going to go, well, unless you're the cheetah, then we're going to go the 9 RPE, the negative 10% for 1x5, and even on the push rest, we're going to do maximum reps, leaving one RIR, 1 rep in reserve on that final one, trying to get a little hypertrophy, trying to really push it. You're going to, it's not going to get too slow because the barbell push press by nature is fast, but that lockout portion. So you're really it's going to slow down that portion. So you're going to get some really good shoulder and tricep lockout work. And so you're definitely going to get some hypertrophy there. And you're still, you're going to superset that with explosive hip hinge, kettlebell, upright rows for all of them. And so now the only difference in the upper body is we're just pushing it with the cheetah. We're going to take it to a 10 RPE on some of those, as you can see. On the jaguar and the gorilla, it's 3x8s for a lot of the assistance work, at 8 to 9 RPE. But for the cheetah who needs to add a little muscle and get stronger, we're going to push that to a 10 RPE on the final set. And that's all. It's just small changes. Do you see how you could still take your team and work out together? Because you can still do a lot of the same movements. It's just how you do those movements that changes. And it's what you are, focusing on that becomes the main changes. Now let's look at the second lower body day. So what I'm doing is just basically lower body, upper body, lower body, upper body. On the day 2, we're doing a hang clean. So I love doing one day from the floor and one day, from the hang, because you get that reactive property from a hang clean that you won't get when you're doing a clean from the floor. That's more starting strength. So that's how fast you can call on those high threshold motor units. When you're doing a hang, you get that passive force production as well. So reactive, aka reactive properties, but still doing the body weight for max velocity so you can monitor trends on these. Working up to a 3 RM, 8 RPE. This is, once again, the Jaguar. Supersetted with a triple broad jump. Obviously, measuring distance. It's important that you do these measurements because you want maximum intent. If you don't measure, athletes are going to, by nature, they're going to just they're going to pull back just a little bit to save that energy for the final sets. So maximum intent, compensatory acceleration, maximum speed throughout every range of motion on every exercise. Back squats or front squats, 15% of day 1's 5 RM at 3x5 max velocity, superset with precision squat, knee tucks. On the gorilla, it's doing, this is where we go even lighter. You can do either one, back squat, front squat, your choice. I don't even care if you guys want to do like the rear leg elevated. Same thing. You could do the exact same thing. It's just that you got to do both sides. Takes a little bit more time, but I'm all about some unilateral work. But now we're going to take 50 to 60% of your 1 RM. So really, if you think about it, for your guys that are strong and are squatting, 2 times their body weight, so that's going to be a lot of your gorillas. You're taking, if they're 2 times their body weight, 50% is going to be they're going to be using the body weight on, so if you weigh 200 pounds, you squat 2 times body weight, so you squat 400 pounds. Using 50%, you're actually putting your body weight on your back and going as fast as you can. And it's going to be somewhere between 1.05 and 0.85 meters per second for 3x5. And you see how we're all over that 60%. I said how Brian Mann has defined that 60% as being, if you can produce maximum power at 60%, that is going to be power that's usable in the field of play because it's at a higher rate. If you're strong and slow like a lot of gorillas, they might produce maximum power at 70% because all power is a combination of strength and speed, or velocity and force production. So we're all over 60% because on day one, they were 65 to 75, a little bit past that 60%. Here, they're a little bit lighter, up to 60% of the day. So they're all over 60% in maximizing that velocity at those, lower, lighter loads so they can get good at producing a high rate of force production. So now we're using the dumbbell jumps, pausing at the landing. Remember, maximum height. And see how we're doing 3 jumps. So for the gorillas, they do the back squat, they do the dumbbell jumps, and then they do band assisted. So basically over speed work. It's from where your guys, Cal Dietz from Triphasic Training, doing a lot of that, basically the French contrast, or we'll call it the triphasic contrast training. But it starts from the heavier, slower movement and works its way down. And so to where we're going over speed. Then deadlifts, once again, slower for the Jaguar, 5RM, 8 RPE, and then negative 10% for 2x5. For your Gorilla, 65 to 75%, or 0.6 to 4.45 meters per second for 3 to 4 sets of 5. Once again, 65% week 1, 70% week 2, 75% week 3, or deload and then deload, or deload and then 75%. Either one you want. But then for your cheetah, what we're doing is we're doing the hang clean by itself. Then we're doing the front squat. We're going to do a 3RM now. So we're not doing like a heavy day and then a lighter day. We're doing a back squat on week 1 and a front squat on week 2. But now we're doing the 3 rep max instead of the 5 rep max. So at 9 RPE, at somewhere around 87.5%, 0.42 meters per second. Then we're going to do negative 10% for 2x3. So we're not going to do the 5% more drop for maximum reps on this one because, I don't want to cause too much fatigue because we're going to go harder on the deadlift. So on day 1, we did clean pulls. On the second lower body day, we're doing a true deadlift, working up to a 5 rep max at 9 RPE. So for negative 10% for 2x5. I don't do a lot of a maximum reps or as many reps as possible on the deadlift. I'm not saying you can't. It's just in my head that maybe the deadlift might cause more injuries than other things. So, all right, let's go over day 4. Day 4, if you are a Jaguar, it's going to be 15% of day 2's 5RM for 3x5. You're going to do max velocity. Supersetting that with 20% of the body weight for 3x5 on each side for the landline push press. Those are great for rotation. It's going to come from the hip. So, natural generation of high rate force. Pull-ups, supersetted with cable or band horizontal punches. That's from the split as well. Once again, you're looking at horizontal force production generated that originates from the hip, and it's definitely going to be more of a rotation type. And then dumbbell shoulder press, obviously kettlebell batwing rows. It's just an awesome way to row. Your chest is basically a chest supported row with kettlebells, pausing when your thumbs are as close to your armpit as possible, making where your elbow is going to look like a batwing. Those are Dan John type movement. And then lateral raises. Honestly, the accessory movements are basically just to make sure that you're not causing any imbalances. And we're working 3 to 8 reps, 8 to 9 RPE. So you're getting close enough to failure to where you're still getting hypertrophy, but you're not creating too much fatigue. Then we've got for your gorillas, the only big difference is instead of whereas on the upper body day 1, where it was 65 to 75% Now we're going to go 50 to 60%. Once again, we're really targeting that to create maximum power at that 60% marker, like Dr. Mann, not just Dr. Mann, but plenty of other people in the past have said that maximizing power right around 60% is going to be usable power production, high rate power. Then also still supersetting that with the landmine. No point in changing anything because it's just a natural high rate force production. Same thing with the pull-ups. We don't change a lot. We're still wanting that good hypertrophy to minimize any types of imbalances. Still doing the horizontal presses from split, more like a punch type movement. And then finally on day 4, if you're a cheetah, we're going to do the only big difference is instead of taking 15% of your 5RM from your upper body day 1, we're going to do a 3RM. So day 1 of upper body was a regular bench press. So for the close grip, we're going to do a 3RM. Doing that more, so we're basically we're using undulating periodization. I mean linear undulating, which is better, but the bottom line is we're spending more time going heavier, trying to get strong with the cheetah people. Supersetting it still with the landmine push presses, the pull-ups the same. Only thing big differences on the accessory movements is we're taking it to a 9.5 or a 10 RPE, like complete failure. Trying to get jacked, you guys. That's the bottom line. Just trying to get jacked. Still doing the horizontal punches from the split, taking 20% of your body weight to do that. And obviously, if you're using a band, you're estimating. You're just really, but whichever band you use, I recommend either sticking with the same one and trying to punch faster. You could now, if you're using a band, I just don't know if there's a way to measure velocity right now with that. With the cable, there's something coming soon maybe that you'll be able to measure with, but I want to speak out of turn. But anyway, that's day 4. I hope this helps. You guys can go to mashelite.com and get all of our free articles. There's some workouts on there that are free. Of course, you can get our ebooks and all that stuff as well. It's still on special through one more week. And then it's going to end, and we're going to make a lot of changes coming next year. So I'm looking forward to that. But if you guys have any questions, email me, Travis at Rise Indoor Sports. If you're local, come see me. Email me, Travis Rise Indoor Sports, and let's set up a time to meet. Thanks, guys.